Hi, I'm so glad you have come to collect the educational community gift to you and humanity of the 7+2 formula that is the fastest, easiest, most effective means to solve the biggest puzzle. Why is it that we fill our world with fear, hate, scarcity, and war when we want and need happiness, unconditional love, abundance, and peace? When Einstein realized the power of E equals mc squared to make weapons with such power that they offer no second chance, he told us his most important insight. Quote, "A new type of thinking is essential if mankind is to survive and move towards higher levels." Teaching ourselves just 7 simple word switches creates a newer way of thinking. The newer way of thinking prepares us to add the 2 secret love creation skills that solve the biggest puzzle. There is more wonderful news. The 7+2 skills that are the cause of sustained peace are the very same skills that release the wish-granting genie within each of us to provide amazing additional benefits you will be proud to own. You will assume responsibility for your own happiness and love needs so that you will welcome love from others rather than remain dependent on it. You will become your own lifelong friend and traveling companion 24/7. You will own the most powerful antidepressant. You will free your energy from blaming to use your best to do your best. You will know how to bully-proof your kids, and you will prevent problems instead of causing them. And you will become an each one reach many teacher of love creation. And you will answer the universal questions, who am I and what is my purpose? If you are like most people with daily practice for 30 days, the 7+2 skills will become automatic and effortless. Then the fun really begins when you pay the formula forward to your loved ones as your special gift to them. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Number 1, teach yourself the 7 word switches and 2 love creation skills. Number 2, when you realize how powerful they are, pay them forward. Number 3, when they thank you, ask them to do what you just did. You can start a domino effect that could circle the world with your gift of happiness, love, and peace. Now here are the 7 critical word switches. Word switch number 1. Substitute I think I can for I can't, why bother, what's the use, to hell with it, ferk it, and other give-up words that shut down your energy factory. Word switch 2. Substitute I allow for they, he, she, it, God, make me. This word switch redirects blaming energy to assume personal responsibility. Word switch 3. Substitute I could for I should, have to, or I must. This I could word switch stimulates problem-solving imagination using common sense instead of mindless obedience to authority. Word switch number 4. Substitute both and for either or that divides the world into 2 categories. This both and word switch redirects the focus of our thinking to our similarities and shared benefits instead of our differences. Word switch number 5. Substitute the universal puzzle-solving sentence, quote, what will make things better for me and you, or us and them, for now and the future, for the problem-causing sentence, my way is the only right way. This word switch sentence calls forth our highest intentions, reciprocity, and the golden rule. Word switch number 6. Substitute energy for anger, fear, and anxiety. This Word switch redirects the energy of the red alert instinctive automatic fight or flight reaction to problem-solving behavior. And finally, word switch number 7. Substitute urgent for emergency and classify each issue as high, medium, or low. This word switch recognizes that in our relatively civilized world, most challenges are of low urgency, resolved with patience and calm deliberation, not instinctive aggression. Word switch 6 and 7 together prevent the innate red alert fight or flight reaction that can no longer be tolerated as most tribes acquire weapons with ultimate destructive power. In sequence, these 7 word switches elevate the capital of our intentions from our animal brain to the high-test spiritual intentions of our puzzle-solving human brain. They position us to educate ourselves in the mental skills that transcend tribal love to create universal unconditional love and reciprocity and the golden rule. The modern version of the golden rule is, quote, love ourselves with the abundance that overflows to enrich the world, end of quote. And this brings us to the 2 secret love creation skills. Secret love creation skill number 1, emotional self-endorsement. Few people know how to emotionally endorse themselves. Can you imagine that being able to create good feelings with the same ease that you naturally feel angry, guilty, or ashamed, or depressed? You can do that if you learn to endorse yourself emotionally and practice doing so. Self-endorsement is the secret of love creation. During our tender, malleable years, we lack the equipment to emotionally endorse ourselves. Survival requires others to provide the nurturance and love we need. Our educational system not only fails to teach us to direct love energy to ourselves, it tells us we are self-centered, egotistical, and wrong to do so. When we learn to take responsibility for our own love needs, what we get from others becomes a bonus rather than a necessity. When we're less needy, it's easier to be a lover than a love junkie. Good feelings stir us to continued action. Immediate satisfaction is critical to sustain the work, patience, and practice required to attain the rewards of virtually every important skill. Knowing we are doing something worthwhile is intellectual endorsement. Its satisfaction is weaker than emotional joy. Emotional endorsement is the immediate satisfaction that allows us to enjoy the work we do now in order to sustain greater satisfaction later. We need to become aware that we are already well practiced in emotionally directing love energy. We stomp our feet and yell with abandon at sports event. We applaud and cheer a musical performance. And we know how to get that baby to smile and the dog to shake its behind and wag its tail. We even express our enthusiastic approval for food. Wow, to that chocolate ice cream sundae. The skill is there. We simply need to direct emotional endorsement to ourselves. Now, Carolyn's story shows us how this can work. Carolyn is an intelligent, attractive young woman, well informed about physical fitness and nutrition. She obtained at least the minimum daily requirement of her physical needs, such as vitamins and exercise, but she was starving from lack of emotional self-endorsement. She didn't give herself the minimal requirement that she needed. When she experienced a put down, she would dwell on her shortcomings, beat on herself, and get depressed. In short, she would trap herself in a cycle of misery. When people praised her or otherwise showed their approval, She felt good about herself and remained in a cheerful frame of mind. She seemed unable to cope with critical comments, however, whether or not the criticisms were valid or not. She reacted to criticism by blaming others and herself, leading to a depression that was often incapacitating, causing her to stay in bed with a headache, queasiness, insomnia, lack of energy, on and on. Carol sought help to break this cycle. She learned that our mind has a minimum daily requirement for emotional needs, just as our body requires physical nutrition. She was skeptical at first when told it was her responsibility to provide for her own requirements of emotional well-being, that she could stop her depression and feel good every day. However, she made a list of her positive qualities and all that she could be grateful for. As she was advised, she began substituting positive statements for the negative ones, what she had attained, what she had now, and might yet attain, instead of what she had lost, didn't have now, or might never attain. When she looked in the mirror, she said to herself, "I am lovable. I am such a hot sketch." And she laughed instead of the put-downs you can imagine she had been telling herself. One day she counted the approval she got from others. 2. If I depended on others for my self-worth, she said, I'd be depressed most of the time. Carolyn mentally added up the pull-ups she gave herself each day and just ignored the put-downs. She began with 10, and soon that grew with practice to 10, from 10 to 20 to 30. Within a month, the endorsements became automatic and effortless. She consistently had good day after good day. She began to sing in the shower, walk proud, and remind herself she was somebody. She let go of the blaming, self-pity, and what-if worrying. She used the energy from her new way of thinking to develop an attitude of gratitude. Now here's Carolyn's favorite pickup fantasy. Quote, I picture myself marching down Main Street, the VIP, in a parade. A brass band playing the most beautiful girl in the world marches behind me. 2 young women dressed in colorful costumes walk in front carrying a banner that stretches across the street. The banner reads, Hurrah for Carolyn. And I wave and say, Yep, that's me. With this visualization, Carolyn quickly returns to reality with her energy restored, ready to take on the world. Just as we don't know the exact number of vitamins, minerals, and exercise and other requirements we need to enjoy optimum physical health, we don't know the exact number of endorsements we need to satisfy our emotional well-being. But as we increasingly create our own emotional requirements, we'll sustain our well-being more confidently. You will discover the number of requirements of approval you need to give you the fuel you need to carry through you the day when you start adding pull-ups and increase the amount up to 20, 30, or more. You will know that you have created sufficient self-endorsements when you're able to maintain your well-being on a consistent basis and face life's challenges both energetically and enthusiastically. Take time each day to provide for both your physical and your emotional well-being. After you exercise or while you're eating breakfast, take a few moments to consider your emotional requirements. You can give yourself these requirements anytime and any place, but if you become accustomed to doing so at certain times, you will form the habit quickly. Make a short positive statement to yourself. Atta girl, atta boy, or use detailed imagery to create self-endorsement fantasy like Carolyn's brass band fantasy. Would you like to turbocharge learning emotional self-endorsement skills? It's simple. Apply secondary endorsement. Secondary endorsement is endorsing yourself each time you engage in the very worthy act of emotionally endorsing yourself. Like forging through a jungle, unless it's regularly maintained, the path will soon be overgrown until not even a trace remains. Neglecting your emotional needs causes self-put-downs to reappear and soon overpower the new habits. Secondary endorsement is the maintenance that keeps the path of self-endorsement clear. Behavior that's rewarded is repeated. That's the first rule in Psychology 101. Behavior that's rewarded is repeated. With practice, secondary endorsement will become automatic and effortless. Give yourself credit each time you endorse yourself. You will be pleasantly surprised to discover that secondary endorsement will rapidly build mental muscles that you will be proud to own. Hurrah! Congratulations to me for endorsing myself. That's worthy of a special bonus. I deserve to endorse myself for endorsing myself. Pull-ups, that is self-endorsement, serve you better than put-downs. When you endorse yourself for endorsing yourself, you pull yourself up and you keep yourself up. As you recognize that you are endorsing yourself, enthusiastically call forth images such as blinking lights, musical accolades, and cheers as your signal to automatically trigger the secondary endorsement you deserve for endorsing yourself. As you begin to feel consistently good about yourself, you will notice that people will enjoy being with you and they will seek out your company. The friends and popularity everyone desires are far more likely to develop when you no longer need others to reassure you. And you can add your new upbeat attitude to your list of emotional endorsements. Now here's a very special bonus. As you create the minimum required endorsements of loving myself pull-ups, you will attain the high test expression of unconditional love, forgiveness. Forgiveness is for plus giving. The hardest form of love, of unconditional love, is forgiving one who has or is perceived to have done harm to us. Remember the most powerful words ever spoken. Quote, "Forgive them, they know not what they do." And begin with self-forgiveness. Now, secret love creation skill number 2, the reasonable best test of self-worth. Realize you only control your input into a situation. The outcome is usually influenced by many factors that you can do little or nothing about. So it's unrealistic to expect that you can control it. Yet most people have been taught since childhood to regulate their feelings about themselves by focusing on the outcome. Do you still depend on the outcome of your efforts as the primary measure of your self-worth? Consider these measures that sustain your dependency. Here we go. I'm okay if he or she loves me. I'm okay if I won. If my efforts worked out, if they accept me. I'm okay if I got an A, if my salary is increased, if the audience applauds. I'm okay if you understand. I'm okay if they think I'm attractive. Or I own a, you fill in the blank, if I own a whatever. If the kids do well, and I'm okay if I didn't make a mistake. You are utilizing healthy, realistic criteria to create positive feelings about yourself whenever you answer yes to the question, am I doing my reasonable best? Even if you don't attain the outcome you desire. Most people beat on themselves when they discover they aren't the way they should be. Such shooting on yourself leads to avoiding facing faults. becoming aware of shortcomings, imperfections, or mistakes is your reasonable best. The reasonable best test prepares you to apply puzzle solving to learn from your mistakes. Putting yourself down because we're less than perfect, less than we want to be, is a negative response that wastes your valuable energy without correcting the situation. The mistakes we make or our occasional poor judgment will probably lead to unpleasant circumstances. Why would you keep paying by repeatedly attacking your self-worth? Would you pay for your groceries and then keep going back in line to pay again and again? Make the reasonable best test a habit by asking frequently throughout the day, am I doing what I reasonably can? If the answer is yes, immediate enthusiastic self-endorsement is in order. If the answer is no, congratulate yourself for finding an opportunity to improve your efforts. Whether the answer is yes or no, you will have created a win-win situation for growth and self-worth. Recognize that the newer story that tells us we are more than human beings created with all other life in one day 6,000 years ago. We are the growing edge of a work in progress that began 3.5 billion years ago with a mission to acquire sufficient wisdom to consistently direct our new godlike power of knowledge to constructive outcomes. Our survival requires a newer way of thinking that directs our collective energy to elevate the way we think, feel, and act throughout successive generations. You are needed. Please join the 7+2 movement to educate our population in a newer way of thinking. You will love that experience.